views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome to Vote 2017, our special edition of In the District. Coming up, we have candidates from the 17th City Council District, which includes the neighborhoods of Concourse Village, Crotona Park East, East Tremont, Hunts Point, Longwood, Melrose, Morrisania, Port Morris, West Farms, North Brother Island, and South Brother Island. The incumbent is Councilmember Rafael Salamanca. Also on the ballot is Helen Hines. We've invited all the Democratic candidates who are on the ballot to participate in our program. I'm Gary Axelbank, introducing you to the candidates running for City Council District 17. Welcome back to In the District. Joining us now is Helen Hines, running as a candidate in the 17th Council District. Nice to have you, Ms. Hines. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Let's start off with one of the central issues, not only in the Bronx, but throughout America, and that's the idea of jobs and unemployment. What's your vision of what needs to be done in the 17th District to improve the employment outlook for Bronxites?
One of the things that we give false hope, and what we must do is train the constituents that live in the district so that they are job ready for the developers and other jobs that's out there.
Mm-hmm. What kinds of jobs do you think people could be trained for, and how would that training work? For me, I believe that we should get labor involved, and we should ask labor, since they now have the carpenters, maintenance. If it's the healthcare, it should go to healthcare 1199. Whatever union that tells that, that's where the training should come from, in order to give back to the community. And for whatever the individuals that are capable of doing, we should train them job ready. The homeless population is exploding. There is a tremendous need for affordable housing. Of course, then the question comes up, what is affordable? There is also a fear of gentrification. Talk to me about the scope of housing in the 17th District.
I wonder sometime about housing, because if you go to the NYCHA houses, they have so many vacancies. So if they have vacancy, why can't they take the folks out of the shelter, especially the family, the children, so that they're not bullied throughout the course of the school day, and put those individual families in those vacant apartments? So if we did that, that would be less people in the shelter and space for others, that's for the emergency sake. And not only that, as far as gentrification is concerned and the displacement of the seniors, I find that very difficult for seniors at this age to be displaced where they're comfortable where they are. They raise their children, their grandchildren, and now you're going to move them in an unfamiliar scene, which is very frightening to them. So therefore, they won't go get their medication. So therefore, they won't have any. So when will they take their medication to keep their minds on track? So I'm real concerned about that.
And what can be done to prevent that kind of a thing in this age in the Bronx, especially of encouraging development?
Well, I think it should be negotiated at the table, that we need to leave the seniors where they are unless there's a senior area that they are developing that later on down the road that they can move them into. I don't see the need of the rush because there's so many vacant apartments.
The catchword in the transportation infrastructure right now is the MTA, and that so many commuters are complaining because they get stuck almost on a daily basis for one reason or another. What needs to be done to improve the city's transportation infrastructure?
One, I truly believe the folks that design the system are not the ones that ride the trains every day. So with that being number one issue, we need to have real dialogue. We need to have them on the ground so they can understand what the people go through every day. And they need to have folks that ride the train and buses, that's a part of Local 100, be a part of the designing of the system.
Are you encouraged by the potential for City Bike to be into your district or other parts of the Bronx? Is that something that can be effective, certainly in alleviating some of the transportation woes?
Well, I wasn't so much interested as far as the alleviating the train and the traffic as far as MTA, because of the way that people drive in the Bronx. I'm really concerned about the safety of people more than anything else, because a lot of area doesn't carry the bike lane. So, and if they have the bike lane, they're not riding in the bike lane. But my real point would be that the fact that it's a health issue. And for more folks to ride the bikes, it would be to eliminate some of the stress and heart attacks. I'm more interested on the health side.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about young people. It's been talked about over and over again throughout the Bronx that we need more services for youth. That's one of the reasons that they get in trouble. It's one of the reasons that they fall off the path, so to speak. What kinds of things can be done to improve the situation for young people in the Bronx and in the 17th?
For the 17th, what I've noticed in knocking doors and talking to the youth, they need more opportunities. Opportunities such as a center where they can go and learn computers and technology and get some certificates so that they can prepare themselves to go out into the world. And I think that will help tremendously. If that's so deemed that they need some sports activity to offset that, then we should have both, education and sports.
And how do we make that happen? Of course, somebody's got to pay for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the same way they find money to do other things, they can also find money to support the youths and find a building that's vacant and gut it out and get it done.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about immigration. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure from Washington on undocumented people. The 17th Council District has many.
Yes.
Talk to me about, if you are elected to the City Council, how you would take a look at the notion of immigration and support people in the Bronx.
Well, for me, I'm a born American, so what I would like to do is to have folks on my team that can support the issue and have an attorney in my office to support the constituents. Because for me, it's important that everyone is serviced. Mm-hmm. And by me not knowing the immigration system, it's best to have someone on hand so that they don't have to go through the loops unnecessarily.
Over the last few years, the borough president has founded Not 62 because the borough of the Bronx has literally been last in the state in all the health indicators. Mm-hmm. What kinds of things can be done to improve the health of Bronxites?
Health?
Yes.
For me, and for my constituents, I really should say, is that we need to have the same facility care, health care for all. We need not send a patient to Manhattan to get an EKG when you have an office in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm. And so do you work with some of the large providers? Does that come out of public health, the public hospital system? How do we provide more accessibility?
I think what we should do is get together with the VPs or the CEOs of the hospital and have a discussion. We should start by discussion. We shouldn't pass anyone. We should have dialogues and talk about the issues that we have in the Bronx in terms of health care so that they can grasp from it, and hopefully we can see some results out of it.
Helen Hines, it's been a pleasure having you with us.
Likewise.
Thank you for joining us, and for you folks, we'll be right back with more. Joining us now is Rafael Salamanca, who is the incumbent candidate in the 17th City Council District. Nice to see you again, Council Member.
It's good to see you, Gary.
Let's just get right to it. Maybe the most important issue in the district is jobs. Unemployment in the Bronx fell, but I guess we're never satisfied till everybody who wants work gets work. Talk to me about helping people find jobs.
First, thank you for having me here. It's very interesting. In the 17 months that I've been in office, we've been focusing on affordable housing. But a component to the affordable housing is how do we secure those construction jobs, local jobs. We've been working hand by hand with the local community boards and the developers, ensuring that as we negotiate approving these projects, that there's a component in terms of outreach and how you're going to hire locally and how you're going to report back to the local council member or the community board as to how many local jobs you were able to provide in that development.
Is it a hard sell, or is that working out?
No, to be quite frank, developers that are coming in to meet with me and the community boards, they're aware of our standards, and they're coming in prepared to inform us of how they're going to recruit local hiring and provide local hiring.
You brought up housing. Let's go into the idea of housing. Obviously, affordable for who? Is there availability? How are we doing with our existing housing stock? Give me an overview of housing in the 17th district.
Well, I've had the honor to represent my community for about 17 months now, and in the 17 months that I've been in office, I've been able to approve a little over 4,000 units of 100% affordable housing. Not one unit is at market value. And as developers come in, non-for-profits come in that are, want to develop this housing, we're looking at the AMI levels. I'm ensuring that everything that comes into my council district is mixed income. And so we're ensuring that we have a good percentage of units that are for the low-income families. The average median income in my council district is about $24,000 a year. And we are also ensuring that we have mixed income, middle income for the working class families. We do have mom making 40, dad making 40, a family of 3 or family of 4. That's $80,000 in a household. And so we need to ensure that we're protecting the low-income families, the seniors, but we're also providing new units for the working families in my council district.
There's a lot of concern throughout the whole swath of the southernmost part of the Bronx about gentrification and people being displaced at the same time that we get a lot of the development. Are you concerned about that, and is that manageable to some degree?
Yeah, as development comes in, as businesses come in and they're looking for support, that's always in the back of my mind. We want to see new development. We want to see this undeveloped land that's dark and is being dumped on, developed into something beautiful. Units, housing units for residents in my community, bringing in small businesses where individuals in the community can get work. But again, I am ensuring that all units that are coming in are suitable for residents in my community. Now, one of the biggest concerns in terms of housing is when you apply, ensuring that number one, you're applying the right way. And when you're picked in the lottery and you're going through the second step where you have to provide your documents, one of the biggest struggles that there is in my community is credit. A lot of residents in my community are unaware of what their credit score is. They may have errors in their credit report. And so something that I'm working on with the city is creating a housing forum, and it's going to happen in the beginning of October, where residents in my community can come in and they'll leave with a free copy of their credit report. They're also going to be taught on how to properly apply, and we're also going to have a list of developments that will be built 2 years down the line, informing them as to when the application process will take place. Therefore, that gives them enough time to look at their credit. Should there's something that's needs to be fixed, gives them enough time to fix it. So when they do apply, credit no longer is a barrier for their application.
There's so much talk in the news about our transportation infrastructure. City Bike is apparently coming to parts of the Bronx, probably not all the neighborhoods that everybody wants, but the real story is the basic infrastructure with the MTA. How do you see the status of the MTA, and what do we really need to do, and who really needs to do what needs to be done to fix it?
Well, the MTA is a state agency. As a city elected official, my office is constantly getting complaints about the trains not running on time, delays in the trains, delays in the buses. My office, what we do is that we ensure that that information, number one, gets to the MTA. We have a great relationship with their office. But also I ensure that that information gets to my state elected officials who have oversight over that agency. And that's how my office and the state elected officials, we partner together to try to bring better results to this much needed transportation service.
You're a husband and father, and
Yeah.
so opportunities for youth is, I'm sure, a very close issue to your heart. Talk about the status of it. Do you feel like there are sufficient activities, and if not, what can you do or others do to improve that for young people?
Youth services is something that is never enough. We, as the local representative of the South Bronx, I ensure that when we're talking about budget, how do we allocate funding to provide new youth services? Just recently, about maybe 6 to 8 months ago, I was able to allocate a little over $300,000 to Bronxworth, and they opened up a cornerstone program in the pyramid where there's a gym, there's theater, a place where the youth can come after school or during the summer or on their days off, where they can hang out in a safe environment. There's physical activity, and there's also an educational component to it.
The borough of the Bronx, as you know, as I know, and all our viewers know, was founded on the backs of immigrants. It is an immigrant community and continues to be so. There is a lot of pressure from Washington, obviously, to change the status of how we've handled immigration. What is the status in your district for immigrants, and are you hopeful that the people who deserve to be here can still be here?
Yeah, so I also represent a good population of individuals that are not documented. And so my office, we provide once a week an immigration attorney free of charge to help those individuals that are residents in which their residency may expire, or those individuals that are not documented to come in, and they'll get free legal representation, and applications are being filled out in my office, and they're being submitted to immigration services to help them with their residency here. So it's something that my office is paying very close attention, especially with what's happening in Washington. We've noticed that we've been inundated with calls because there is a need for this service.
Councilmember, it's always nice to see you here. It's always nice to have you on BronxNet, and we sincerely appreciate your joining us for In the District today.
Gary, thank you for having me.
Great. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. For information about this election and more, follow us at bronxnet.tv. For information about voting locations, you can visit the city's Board of Elections at vote.nyc.ny.us. And remember, head out to the polls on September 12th. Make your voice heard.